Good morning, everyone in California. My name is Valerie, and I'm calling here from Albany, New York for the QuickBooks Review Q&A session. So what we're here to do today is bring everyone on the line 1 week after the orientation session last Thursday to address any questions that you have for this program thus far. At this point, you should have completed 1/2 of the Mastering QuickBooks Level 1 course, which is day 1 of the training, approximately 6 hours worth of training. So along with the link to this webinar, I had sent a recorded review video that will help you go through kind of a crash course of the 6 hours of training you've taken in about 15 minutes or so. So what I'm here to do is address any questions you have, whether it be about the training itself, the certification exam, what you can expect from the program from here on out. And to begin, I'm going to give some brief training, and perhaps it'll kind of fire off some questions for you. So a bit of information. The QuickBooks certification exam is in QuickBooks 2012. So at Mastering QuickBooks Level 1 also covers 2012. The exam itself is 50 multiple choice questions, and it's 50 minutes long. So it's about a minute per question. You'll see with the exam you have the ability to flag a question and then go back to it for review later. So the exam is going to be at Work to Future. That will be the next time that you are on site for a session. And it's a proctored certification exam. So once you complete all the training, which I'll briefly talk about, you will receive a certification exam voucher, and you'll be able to go on site to take the certification exam. So a bit of information about the training. So as I mentioned, you should be halfway through the Mastering QuickBooks Level 1 training. That's about 6 hours of training. So with a program calendar, that will outline all the different training that you're taking. If you do not have all the half the training done by today, I know that some people did not finish 1/2 of the Mastering QuickBooks yet. That's okay. Just continue along in the training. The important date to have all training done by will be August 19th, which is a Tuesday, because Wednesday, August 20th, will be the final review webinar for this program. So you'll want to have all training done by that time. Again, training is fairly self-paced. It's accessible 24/7 from any computer with internet. So you can kind of make it your own. You can take 2 hours of training one day, 1 hour another day. We just ask that you have things done by August 19th for the 20th webinar. So a couple of things that have been brought up to me with the different webinars we've been doing is the Mastering QuickBooks Level 1 course is just a lecture. So there's no hands-on, there's no simulation component with that. You will have hands-on simulation as well as quizzes and tests with the next training that you will be taking. So that is the QuickBooks Pro 2009 Getting Started. So we have a message here that we have a little bit of an echo. Again, I'm going to be muting everyone so that everything can be recorded. All right, we should be set. So hopefully this is a little bit better. Let me know if it's not. So after you finish the Mastering QuickBooks Level 1 course, you will go on to the QuickBooks Pro 2009 Getting Started activity. What that is a 3-hour course through Skillsoft that will give you hands-on practice and simulation with QuickBooks. So it's great because you take all the training. The Mastering QuickBooks is really meant to give you kind of the baseline and the foundational training that you'll need. And then the QuickBooks Pro 2009 course, that will go through and reinforce what you've learned. So people find that very helpful. And a couple of people have asked, why 2009? And we had a couple of people during the orientation say, hey, listen, is this 2013, 2014, newer? Should we be doing training on that? We're finding that employers tend to have QuickBooks versions between 2009 and 2012. In addition, the versions across the board for those different ones are very similar. So because the Mastering QuickBooks Level 1 course covers QuickBooks 2012, that's what you take the certification in, but the versions are fairly similar, as I mentioned, across the board. So the next thing that you'll be taking after you finish the QuickBooks Pro 2009 course is QuickBooks Pro 2012 and QuickBooks Pro 2011. Those are 2 prove-it assessments. What those do is they're basically practice quizzes with the types of multiple choice questions you can expect from the exam. So once you complete that in your Metrics Learning My Plan, you'll receive a voucher. In addition, 2 more things that you'll have are access to QuizStar practice quizzes. So what we've done is we've taken questions that are very similar to those on the certification exam, and we have put those in a quiz format. So again, that's multiple choice, A, B, C, and D, and you'll have access to those quizzes. And then the last thing is when you receive the voucher for the certification exam, it'll come with 3 practice tests from Certiport, which is the certification testing company. Those very closely replicate the certification exam. There's 3 of them, so it's kind of like getting 3 shots at the real deal, before the real deal, rather. So I think that you'll find between, the baseline training, the hands-on simulation, and then all the practice that you're going to get, you'll feel very well prepared for the certification exam. So going off of that, does anyone have any questions at this point regarding training, regarding the exam, anything along those lines? And again, feel free to put any chat in here. Okay, so we have a question regarding the course player and the menu bar not being available. So as we had mentioned during the orientation session, the course player, the way that it is the very top, which is the menus, is cut off. So let me bring up a document for you quickly. So that you don't miss out on any information, we've created a document that we had sent right at the beginning of the program, and that is the QuickBooks Tabs Menus document. So what that does is it shows the information that is missing at the top, just that menu bar that's at the very top. And again, that was a PDF document that was sent at the beginning of the program. So I'm just going to bring the document up for you quickly so you can see. But this is what the document looks like. It has a screenshot of each of the different menus and what you can see from here so you don't miss out on anything. In addition, we had another question regarding the course player. Someone earlier could not access the entire course player. The navigation pane on the left side was inaccessible. So when you're actually, in the course, I'm not sure if you've experienced this yet, but in the course player, there at the bottom right of the corner, there is a square icon with 4 different arrows kind of pointing in different directions. And if you click that, that will expand the course player and minimize the navigation pane. We have another question here. How soon will this webinar be accessible on the web? After this session, I will be uploading this to YouTube. So it should be accessible either by the end of the day today, if not first thing tomorrow. Let's see. So we have someone who does not have audio. Make sure that either you call in to the phone number that's listed or have your speakers on. So the very, very top of the page, as I mentioned, the menu is across the top, and that is cut off in the course player, and that's what I had mentioned previously. So I'm going to bring up a screenshot again so you can see what I'm talking about. So right here, you can see right here the menu, this little thing at the top right here, this is cut off. So that is why we took the screenshot document and we sent that to you so you don't miss out on any information. So you can see here, each of the screenshots that we sent shows the different options under the menu that is cut off so you don't miss out on anything. And you're welcome. So I know people kind of joined the call maybe a couple minutes in. Has anyone accessed the review video for the review video that I had sent through YouTube? And if so, did you find it helpful? We have a yes here. That's good. Another yes. Great. Great. I'm glad you all found it helpful. Again, what I tried to do was take what's 12 hours worth of, 6 hours worth of training rather, and put it into a 15-minute video. What I did also was I went off the exam objectives document and kind of focused on different areas that I found relevant in the certification exam, so you know where to point your attention. And we had a question about the menus. Is this going to be fixed? We are in the process of looking into this, but for the time being, so that you don't miss out on anything, again, we've given you the access to the screenshots rather. Again, we apologize about the inconvenience, but hopefully you're able to use that for the information that you need. I have a question. Do you have a PDF of the review video slides? I have I based it on a PowerPoint PDF, but I do not have like a script or anything like that. So if you find that helpful, I can go ahead and hit it, but if not, I understand. All right, great. And if anyone else would like a PDF of the different slides to make notes or anything, I can send that to the group or just to one person. Let me know if you think this would be helpful. Again, we have another question about the menu bar. What you can do is to see the part that is cut off, the screenshot document that we sent you at the beginning of the program has the menu, and it's pretty easily accessible. You can flip through and see the different options. And we have another question, what PDF are we speaking about? Someone had a question, the PDF that the review video that I created for YouTube, I can create a PDF of the 5 or 6 different slides that is on that. Again, there's no script, there's no words, but it just has the bullet points of what I went over. So if anyone else would find that helpful, let me know. I can create that. And we see that someone is kind of taking their own notes or making their own review materials, which is great. Each learner is kind of different. I've come to realize with working with different people. I'm a huge note taker, so I have something like 30 pages of notes that I had taken just kind of going through the program. Some people are very visual, so they can, just kind of look and remember things. And, with the day 1 and day 2 manuals, some people, kept them on their computer so they could search through. Some people printed them so they could make notes. So again, each learner is kind of different, but kind of speaking about those 2 PDFs for the Mastering QuickBooks course, those are very helpful in kind of bringing you through the training. They're about 100 pages long each, which is a lot of pages, but if you're thinking about it, they're reviewing 12 hours worth of training. So for instance, if I needed help in a specific section, for example, reports. I was awful with reports. I could do Control F or find for the reports section and then go through and look that way. So it all depends on how you'd like to do it. Any further questions, feel free to shoot them off. I'll just kind of keep talking in the meantime. So in addition to the training that you're taking here, a couple of other things that I could recommend to you is if you have questions in a specific area, for instance, I mentioned reports for me, QuickBooks support site, the program QuickBooks itself, has a very helpful support section. So what this does is you can search different topics and, see step-by-step, see tutorials, things like that. So in addition to this training, that's something else I would recommend if you do, need extra help in any specific area. We have a comment here. We had sent the menu bar in an email. I can resend it to anyone who does need that. So I made a note here that you need the copy of that, and I will send you the PDF, Kim. All right, let's see here. Another question we have is, could Work to Future have the printout of Manual D1 and D2 for participants? I do not know the answer to this specifically because I am not Work to Future, but I can speak with my coworker Liz and see if this is a possibility. Regarding the hands-on trainings, this is something that people have been bringing up during the orientation sessions, which is good. So I mentioned during the initial session that the Mastering QuickBooks Level 1 is just a lecture. So that's just going to bring you through, the concepts behind QuickBooks and give you a good baseline. The next activity that you're taking, QuickBooks Pro 2009, Getting Started, gives a simulation of the type a simulation of using QuickBooks Excel, rather, and also has quizzes and tests to reinforce what you're learning, which I think you'll find really helpful. And then the next items that you move into, the QuickBooks Pro 2012 and QuickBooks Pro 2011 in metrics, those consist of practice questions. So with the training that we set up, we really tried to cover all the different bases. We had the lecture, which makes up for the bulk of the training. We had the simulation, the quizzes, the tests, and then finally the practice types of questions you'll experience. Again, it's a multiple choice exam, and between the practice you get in metrics, in addition to the different practice activities we give you, you should feel pretty well prepared going into the exam. So we have a question about the learning manual. We had mentioned during the orientation session that that is listed at the bottom left of the navigation tab. And it's there because it's more easily accessible that way to be able to download it. And we have a question here. Is the learning manual imperative while following along with the lecture? I think it's very important to be accessing the learning manual. You don't need to necessarily use it while you're following along, but even after every chapter, something like that, just take a quick look. This is because the Day 1 and Day 2 learning manuals are based upon the training itself. So think of it as a written version of the audio video that you're receiving. So whether you just download it or whether you do print it, I do recommend using them. But again, that's accessible all the way to the bottom of the navigation pane on the left of the Mastering QuickBooks Level 1 course. They're labeled D1 and D2. So I mentioned hands-on training for the activities. So you're going to have simulation training, and that's not in Day 2. That's in Mastering QuickBooks, that is in QuickBooks Pro 2009, Getting Started, which is the next course that you're taking. So once you finish Day 1 and Day 2 of training, you'll be able to move on to that 2009 activity. And again, it will have you kind of click here, click there, quizzes, tests, reinforcement, and so on. And not a problem about clarifying the manual question. I've been getting that a lot today. And you're welcome. Everyone keep the questions coming. If everyone wants to continue putting questions in the chat box here, I'll just continue talking and kind of answering questions that you might have but not know it. So some of the questions we have been getting are, is the training, do you access that? Is it online? Do I have to go to Work to Future for anything? The next time you'll be at Work to Future is for the certification exam. So again, all training and all webinars are accessible over the web. For the exam date, what will happen is once you complete all your training, you receive a practice test in addition to 3 practice test vouchers. Once you complete the practice test, you'll contact Work to Future for a testing time and date. You'll go in, you bring in an ID, they check your ID to make sure that you're you, and then you sit for the certification exam. So the exam, as I mentioned, is 50 minutes long, and you find out if you passed or not on site, which is great. There's really no waiting, minus a 1 to 2 minute waiting window, really. So that day, you'll be able to find out if you passed or not. If you do not pass the first time, you do get an exam retake. You can retake the exam anytime within 30 days of your initial testing date. So you get, if you don't pass the first time, I wouldn't worry. You get the second chance at it. In addition, if you don't pass the first time, we at Metrics Learning can send you additional preparation materials to make sure that you're good to go for the day of. But I think that between all the training and all the practice that you'll take, you'll feel very well prepared for the exam. Great question. So the practice tests that I mentioned, the ones that you get with your voucher, you will access those at home. All training and practice and all webinars are from home, basically, and the exam itself is on site. And I have a question regarding the man who is presenting in the Mastering QuickBooks course about his training being dated in 2015. Again, we didn't develop the course. The course is provided from a company called Real World Training, and they are the only Intuit approved online training provider. So I can't really answer the question about, why are the dates as such, but it's really great training, and the fact that Intuit approves it, I think, holds a lot of merit. So I hope that you're enjoying it. I've never gotten that question, so thank you. We have a question, why is there a black bar cutting off the file? I'm not sure the black bar that you are referring to. If you are having that problem, if you could just send us a screenshot at support@metricslearning.com, I can take a look in. Another question that people had earlier is, can I go back and review any of the topics after I've completed them? With any of the Metrics Learning training, you're welcome to go back in and review at any point. In fact, I recommend it for training. So going off of that, too, I know that some people had initially had some technical trouble getting courses to launch. In Internet Explorer, we recommended that if you can't, you can use Chrome. With Chrome, sometimes there is a recording issue where the bubbles won't turn yellow or they won't turn green. If you've completed a section and you find that it's not recording for you, please don't worry. Just continue on in the course. Please let us know. And at the end, when you're finished with all of day 1 and all of day 2, we can adjust accordingly for you. We have a question about QuickBooks-related employment support. So we don't necessarily provide that. We're a workforce company, but Work to Future is the organization that this is provided through. So you'll want to speak with career counselors or other workforce personnel from Work to Future regarding that. we can give this some insight as to, some jobs in the area. My favorite thing to do is to look at Indeed.com and search QuickBooks. That's a great way to see, who's hiring for that specific skill. And again, once you get that certification, it's more than being just proficient. You're certified through Intuit. So that's a definite resume booster. It kind of sets you apart from the rest, and something employers certainly look to. So we have a question about the presentation of QuickBooks and the way that they're entering whole numbers with the program, then automating decimals. To answer that question, again, we're not the ones who have created the training here, but this isn't something that you will need to know for the certification exam itself because it is multiple choice. We have another question here, bringing notes or information into the exam. You are not allowed to bring anything to write with, anything to text with, anything to make notes with at all. So basically, the proctor will take your belongings and keep them safe for the 50-minute period, and you'll be able to get those afterwards. Then we have another question here, and I'm sorry about this confusion in advance. I realized this today, an open lab session on day 10. So at this point, we're not sure if there will be open lab sessions. We will get back to you if there are. It's still being worked out with Work to Future. We have another note. If this is more of a technical nature, if someone does have technical questions, please email us at support@metricslearning.com. We're happy to help. If there's issues loading courses from one chapter to the next, I would just give it a minute and maybe your internet, or you can log out of Metrics and then log back in to see if it loads better. And again, the open lab session, that was something that was written on the review video. We do not know if there will be open lab sessions at Work to Future yet. With an open lab session, only some locations do this, is time for people to go in and practice and take training. At this point, we don't know if there will be that, but if there is, we will get back to you. Good questions here. Very observant. All right, I see a chat coming in potentially here. Nope. All right, keep the questions coming. I'll give it maybe 1 or 2 more minutes unless people do have a lot of questions. And again, I can't remember if I mentioned this with the Q&A. The purpose of this is, of course, to answer any questions you have, but to bring us back together as a group. Again, that orientation session was the real only in-group training session that there was. So we do want to kind of facilitate this group setting. And as I mentioned, no question is too large or too small. Typically, if one person has a question, 5 or 6 others have the same one, or maybe they don't even realize they have one. So. All right, we'll give it about a minute here. All right, give it maybe a couple more seconds here. And again, if there is something that comes up after the session, we will be recording this. So that's the reason I have all of you muted at this point. So I'll be sending you a recorded YouTube link so you can access all this at a later time. And in addition, I will resend the recorded review video that goes over the first half of Mastering QuickBooks Level 1 too. We have another question here about the test. Is the test open book? The test is not open book. Again, you're not allowed to bring any materials, whether it's writing materials, a phone, anything like that into the exam. And printing the manual, I am not sure the answer to that question. That's more of a question for Work to Future. Some people want to print the manual. Some people, like myself, prefer to keep it on the computer so you can search easily through. All right, anything else from anyone else? I'll give it about one more minute here. All right, so we will conclude this webinar at this time. Again, thank you all so much for being here today. Everyone had great questions, and we're looking forward to working with you. So again, if there's anything else you need, please don't hesitate to ask, and we're looking forward to helping you get this certification. And have a great rest of your morning, everyone. All right, thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
My name's Bob.